Right, guys, so as you can see, I am sat down with Mr. Tyler Tate of Hollowfront himself. Tyler, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me.
Absolutely, brother. I was stoked when you messaged me.
I know it's just so cool to. I know obviously you're in America and things, but it's just so cool to sit down and actually speak to the people that. Well, I mean, for the last week and a half, I've been non-stop listening to. So
Hell yeah. Actually, I'm gonna quit if you don't release more videos like right now.
they're
I'm
recorded.
gonna quit. I'm gonna quit Hollowfront. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, no, I really enjoy I've always enjoyed your reactions to our music, so it's a pleasure to be here.
No, thank you for watching. It's always cool to see you the comment and the stuff. It's one of them, as obviously as someone who makes this kind of content, to get like the opinion of the band themselves. It's always cool to see when it pops up. But now the new album, obviously it's just dropped. It's phenomenal. It really is. All the reactions are recorded. I usually do two different ways. It's usually go live on Twitch, blast the whole thing. But I asked the people in the Discord server, and they were like, "No, individual videos. Let us watch it on the channel." So they're all recorded. It's just give me content for a couple of days to slowly release them.
That's awesome. It's smart to break it up and you have more videos, and it's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. But I do like I've seen a few that were like straight all the way through, like full streams, and I like those ones too. I'm just happy that anybody reacts to our music. So that's yeah. I mean, I try to comment on every single one just because it's not like we have thousands of them that I can't keep up with. It's like we get like 10 a song or a little bit more depending on then the album. So I always feel like it's my duty to go and reply to because you guys are taking your time and you're putting effort. Making these videos is tough. I know and having that mental bandwidth to just keep going is it's hard, and I appreciate that.
This was a lockdown project in the UK when COVID hit that I never expected to do what it's done. I mean, you guys were. I discovered you guys through Discord. It was the community that said you need to hear this band.
Yeah, I remember watching like your first reactions and stuff of like the stuff we were doing back in like it was like 2020 or
Yeah.
I think you were like Serendipity or something like that. Just like the early stuff with Dakota, like when he was just starting in the band, like singing and stuff.
No, and
It was Threads, I think, was one.
yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I rely heavily on the community, and we've always had like an open policy to just throw something in the chat. There's a request thread. There's a suggestions thread as well. So if you find something that sounds cool, just drop it in there. We literally only have one rule, and it's just don't be a dick.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the best rule.
Yeah, but yeah. So obviously the fear of letting go. I was waiting for it. I mean, I've already said on the reactions. Some of them are out. What I've said this in. I was excited, but at the same time, I was a little concerned as well.
Understandable. We were concerned too. I was the most concerned. As much as people that fans and stuff were concerned about Dakota leaving, I trust me, I was concerned a millionfold. I was very scared. It was a terrible, terrible time to be honest, but I feel like it worked out, and I actually just saw Dakota yesterday. So there's nothing like bad blood or anything like that. Like it's the trials and tribulations of being in like a musician trying to make it in an industry that's really tough to get into. So I give Dakota props for being able to be like, hey, for my own mental health, I gotta step back. Like I'm not that smart. I'm like fuck it, let's go until the wheels fall off, baby.
No, I love that about bands that they love the grind. I'm a little bit the same with myself because it's cool just when you release one video and you just get one little subscriber. So I imagine if you release an album and you get a good few fans or something coming in, new fans are hearing the sound, and I mean, when the channel first started, it was all about pushing the smaller, lesser known bands, because the big ones, they literally have unlimited amount of advertising. It's just there for them. I've always said there's a lot more talent and some of the sounds that you get with the lesser known bands as well. It's like with you guys as well. You hear them and you go, how are these not huge? How are these guys not selling out arenas?
I don't know. I wish I had the answer to that, because I would love to be selling out arenas. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's tough because metalcore itself is oversaturated. You know, music itself is oversaturated with. Now you can just go. You know, like when I started bands, like when I started being in music, it was like 2004. Like you're lucky to be able to get a recording, you know, because it was just expensive and out of reach, and I was young, and now it's like you can record at home and you can release your music self-release. You don't have to go through a label or you know, just go to what is it, DistroKid, and just put your album on there, and you pay a flat fee, and now it's on Spotify. You know, like we just didn't have that stuff when I was starting, and honestly, Holofront's the first band that actually was able to utilize like all that stuff, because it was just so readily available in 2016 when we started. It was like, oh, I can just go on the internet and put it on Spotify. Holy crap. You know, like
Yeah.
it changed things for us, but it's tough now because there's just so much competition. And when you're a big band, like they just kind of dominate the space because they have the money to spend to dominate it.
Yeah, I've always wondered about Spotify as well, because you hear a lot about how, I think it was it Danny Filth from Cradle of Filth was recently speaking about it, and he got something like $20 for 50 million views or 50 million streams, and I was like, what? Surely not.
It's got to be a label taking majority of it or something.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were independent, when we were doing well. Like it was kind of wild. Like because we had Loose Threads, we ended up licensing it to UNFD. But like the first couple months that we had, it was like, I was like, I want all this money in my bank account. You know, it was like, this is awesome. It's possible. I think that especially someone like Danny Filth, like he came from a time when CDs sold, you know, like I'm sure that when they first started they were selling CDs, and it's just things were a lot different. And now we're forced to kind of succumb to the overlords of Spotify and be like, I'm happy for my 0.00047 whatever per stream, please give me more, papa. You know, like it's like but you know, I mean, I'm happy with, because you wouldn't have that. These smaller bands wouldn't have the chance to be in that, you know, in the race, you know, without a Spotify and yeah, it sucks. I wish we were all getting paid more, but it helps more than it hurts, I think, to have your music on Spotify.
Yeah. Well, it's so easily accessible. I mean, I've always been one of them kinds of people that I like a CD, even if I don't physically play it, just to have it.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to a merch table and you've got them. But I really love vinyl at the moment, even just to have that as a physical item.
Yeah, that's a resurgence for sure in the last, you know, since this band started. Like when we were starting, like it was like, do we even get physical media? I'm like, who the fuck buys CDs anymore? We always did, but and then once vinyls was like picking back up and like everyone was like collecting, it's like, oh well, you know, I have all of our, like, actually behind me on the wall is 2 of our vinyls.
Yeah.
But like I don't have a vinyl record player, so it's, you know, it's just a collection. And I know some people play them and some people collect them, and I think it's cool. I like having like all the different variants and all the different, you know, it's a little bit more involved than having a CD, you know. But I do remember like back in the day going to, like in America we have a store, I don't know if they have that over there, but FYE, it's just like a record store, you know. I just go in there and find CDs and find bands that I never heard of, but just be like, oh, I like the cover, and then, you know, listen to it and be like, I either loved it or hated it, you know. But it was just like, you don't know what you're getting, you know.
Yeah, we have independent record stores, and we have something called HMV.
Okay, so yeah, it's been a little different. Across the pond is a little different.
Oh no, it's the HMV. You go to the metal section, and it's like, oh, Metallica, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Aerosmith. You're like,
Hell yeah! My favorite metal band is Aerosmith.
no, it's
I love the Blex and that they have in Dream On.
uh, it probably would work. Someone needs to do a cover. There you go. Next Holofront project.
Yeah. I don't know about that. We've talked about doing covers and stuff, but it's just never been one of our focuses.
No.
Just original music. But we like me and Lee are kind of weird. Like we're kind of stuck, and he listens to we listen to like old school metalcore, and like Killswitch and those kind of like metalcore bands, classic metalcore bands, and then we're very like 2000s, late 90s, 2000s like alternative music kind of vibes, like like new metal and like those kind of like like harder rock and like whatever basically was kind of dominating the MTV for heavier music, Slipknot, Linkin Park, those kind of bands, like just like those are the bands that we really like. Like we're stuck in the past, to be honest. That's why like I enjoy like I was telling you earlier, I have my Twitch channel that I started, Tyler Tate HF, just to shamelessly plug myself.
Get that plug in.
But yeah, I like people suggesting music to me because I don't listen to a lot of metalcore, and I don't listen to like any of the like. I haven't listened to Spirit Box. I haven't listened to what other like. I've only listened to a few songs off Silent Planet's new album. Just like very like disconnect. I'm very disconnected from metalcore itself, mostly because I don't like having a ton of influence. I don't like to be, because I've done it before where I've listened to bands like Polaris, or then I'm finding their influence in my writing, and I'm like, oh, I hate that. Like I don't want that. Like I want to make sure it's all me. And you can throw in a metalcore instrumental at me, and I just do my thing. It's not, I'm not trying to copy anybody, and I'm not trying to take influence. Like there's people that I've looked up to that are vocalists and stuff, but I've just tried to do my best to take a leaf out of my own book and not really share theirs, I think. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes you're gonna get compared to anybody regardless.
Yeah.
It never happens. But yeah, I don't listen to a lot of metalcore for a variety of reasons.
That's fair enough. I mean, it's an interesting reason, to be fair, and I can completely agree with it. You would probably subconsciously, even if you did listen to the latest stuff, it would probably make its way into the writing somewhere. So now, I mean, credit to you. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Although you are massively missing out with the new Spirit Box EP. It's fire.
I heard on my stream last week, somebody showed me Jaded.
Yeah,
and it was super good. Like I like Spirit Box. I like these bands, like Bring Me, Spirit Box, Polaris. Like I like all those bands. Alpha Wolf. I haven't listened to a new song either, but it's just, yeah, I just don't. I don't know. I don't seek it out anymore. It's weird. Like I know it's there, and I know like I'll listen to it when I but I'm just like I don't want to get too familiar with the other stuff, I think. But I mean, not that I have anything against it. I don't have anything against metalcore. Obviously, I'm in a metalcore band.
Yeah, it'd be a bit of a strange thing to have a thing against if you were. But...
I hate metalcore, but I'm in a metalcore band. What a sellout. But no, I love metalcore. I love heavy music. I just, when I get in a car and stuff, I'm just like, do I want to listen to breakdowns, or do I want to listen to Jonathan Davis from Korn going, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go with that.
Yeah. I mean, they're the classics. They are the classics. I've got a playlist on Spotify full of the old stuff. So, but that's one thing I've noticed as well about the States, which is something that we just do not have. Is the radio stations. Like metal is so much more. It's what's the word to even say? It's so more accessible. Just
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't listen to the radio anymore, but I know we have like Sirius XM. I don't know if you guys picked that up over there, but it's just
we can
like
get
we
it.
have like Octane and those kind of um those kind of stations. But yeah, for the most part, like our normal radio stations, the only metal that they play is like an I Prevail song with no screaming. You know, it's like not super metally on the radio, especially like at least for because you only pick up your local stations. You know,
Yeah.
whatever your antenna can pick up. And so it's like, yeah, we're listening, you know, we got the same 7 songs, like, you know, AC/DC, Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica. And
Yeah.
then they throw in a Bring Me the Horizon from That's a Spirit, which is cool, you know. But then you'll go back to, you know, Nirvana, and you know, it's just like, which is all the music that I listen to on my own. I do it without all the ads.
Yeah.
You know, I don't pay $9.99 on Spotify for nothing. I don't want the ads.
Oh no, it's over here. It's just daytime is pop or dance music, and then the metal stuff is like 2-3 a.m. in the morning when they think no one's awake to listen to it, which probably they're not.
Yeah, I think we've had something premiere once on BBC One. It was probably at like 2 a.m. your guys' time or something.
I was on the
Australia's cool. They have the Triple J that they do, and
Yeah.
they play all sorts of crazy music. Yeah.
Australia's metal scene is just insane at the minute. Everything that comes out of that country is just I don't know how they do it. There's something in the water. There really is.
Well, they're fighting crocodiles. And,
Yeah.
you know, they have spiders the size of Volkswagen Beetles over there or something. You know,
Yeah, I'm never going. Everyone wants to
the
kill
danger at all times. And then they're like, "Well, we all live on the coast." And I was like, "But yeah, then you got great whites that you're fighting. You know, it's like you're just danger at every corner. Kangaroos trying to drown you." Just all sorts of shit.
I just don't want to ever live in a country where you could go to get into your car and a spider could kill you within 10 minutes when it bites you because it hides in the door handle.
Yeah,
It's like-
but yeah, I mean, to be fair, in America, you gotta watch out for the crackheads. So in your backseat, you know, you gotta make sure you lock your door. You're gonna wake up and you're like, got any change? You know,
You got to be careful of the crackheads in Liverpool as well. To be fair, it's fine.
Oh, true.
We got crackheads over here.
Yeah. Crackheads, they're worldwide now.
And some of them, especially with the latest things I'm doing, you've got to be careful you don't stumble upon a little den of them. Just like hiding in the door.
True. Yeah, you go into one of them abandoned asylums and you just find a cult.
Well,
Crackhead cult.
the one we went to last weekend it had squatters, so people had took over the building, and we just heard shuffling around. And I was like, I don't fancy getting stabbed with a needle. We'll leave. But it was all good.
I don't know. My first thought would be like, ghosts. There's ghosts in here.
Well, that's something we're doing as well. We've got already some pretty decent evidence for that. But yeah, to not get too much kind of away from what I wanted to speak to you about, and I know that a lot of the viewers will want to know about as well. So the current album, current title, The Fear of Letting Go. Is there a reason behind why it's called that?
So I mean, yeah. So originally the song "Letting Go" with Dakota, that was actually called "The Fear of Letting Go."
Okay.
And at some point, I decided that I wanted to name the album. I wanted the album to be called that, but I didn't want that song to be like. I didn't want a title track.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to. So I split up "The Fear of," which is the first song, and then to "Letting Go," which is the last track. I thought that was clever. I thought it was cool. We thought it was cool, and we're like, yeah, let's do that. And then, but I mean, the meaning behind it is just, and it kind of encompasses the album and just like the general vibe around Hollowfront, like internally for like the last year and a half or so. It's like for Dakota, the fear of letting go, like it wasn't enough for him not to leave, you know, like he had to overcome that fear. Whereas I'm the opposite. I'm like, I'm afraid of letting go because I don't know who I am without Hollowfront. Like, I don't know, like, what would I do? Like, just go back to working a regular job that I hate and, I think that he struggled a lot because you're kind of giving up your dream, and Dakota's not down with music, and I'm not going to go too deep into his personal stuff, but he's actually working with another band, so he's not done with music. He's just done with the grind and trying to make it and be successful, because once you start doing that, you just lose so much. Like, you lose so much motivation, you lose so much hope, because there's just like, feels like sometimes around every corner there's something there that's like, oh, you're moving at a faster speed, and you're like picking up, and you're moving up in the world. Oh, here's a brick wall that you're gonna crash into. Like it's just, we've had a lot of bad luck, and the fear of letting go for me is just, like I said, like, I'm just afraid of letting go of this dream. I'm afraid of letting go of this life that I've built the last 20 years. I've sunk myself into music since I was 14, and like, I just don't, and I'm not ready to give up. I'm not ready to give up, because we've built something here that I think is special, even if we're not selling on arenas or anything like that. To me, Hollow Front and the community that we built is special, and it gives me purpose. Not as much as having kids and stuff, but it's just a different kind of purpose. It's a life's purpose and a career purpose, and I think Dakota, that's why it took him. I feel like he wanted to leave earlier, and I think the fear of letting go of his dream and letting go of this brotherhood, and because it's from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, they're not a band anymore, but they're probably not friends. It's like maybe they're not. And I think maybe that was a fear. I had that fear when he left. I was like, oh shit, like, most of my ex-bandmates I'm not friends with anymore, mostly because just life, and those people are either upset that they were removed from the band, or it's just, we just weren't really close to begin with, and they were just in the band, and then they left the band, and so the only thing that connected us was the band.
Yeah.
And I think that it's different with Dakota and Brandon, who also left earlier he left in the beginning of summer. It's different with them. It's like, we've gone through so much, and we've done so much together. It's like, we built a brotherhood, and I was very afraid that I was going to lose that with them when they left, and I was completely wrong, which makes me so happy. But yeah, I think just the fear of giving up for me is what's kept me around, and I think he kind of understood that if he didn't do it now, would he ever do it, and would he just stay and be miserable, and there's a lot of other stuff that's internal that I won't go super deep into, but we just had a lot of bad luck. We got into an accident in March 2022 that really decimated this band, just from all like the fallout. Like, we did that, and then we had to rush to get a new van, so we spent about $20,000 on the tour, so that really hurt. And then what else? And then we did ABR. We did a tour with ABR, and it went really well, but we just had some rookie mistakes as far as like money management, and just, we came back with money, but just not as much as we thought we were going to. So that was a huge hit to all of us, because we were just like, spent a month and a half on the road to come home to basically breaking even. Yeah. And it's just like, when you're 30 and I'm in my 30s, and Dakota's a little bit younger. He's in like 28 now, I think, or pretty close. It's just like, fuck, dude, what are we doing? Like, I got bills and shit, and I got kids, and it's like, oh, this is horrible. Like, and touring's fun, but yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's like, you're away from your family, and you're away from. So I think that he struggled with that a lot, just being away from home and just being on the road. And after that initial accident, like, we all struggled with being in a van and like riding down the road and sleeping while vans moving, because you just, when we crashed, we were all sleeping. Like, our old drummer was driving, and we were all asleep. So when we got in that accident, we all were awoken, from in just the loudest crash I've ever heard, and it was right next to my head, and it was insane. So we all dealt with that, and I'm very like, push it down, kind of a thing. I'll write some songs about it later, kind of a thing. But I think that he struggled with that, and he struggled with his identity of, Hollow Front wasn't his band. when he joined. He kind of joined into the, when we did Still Life and stuff, he wasn't actually in the band.
Yeah.
So I think he really struggled with being in a band that Lee and I have basically had control of since the beginning. And it's just many things piled up. And then we came back from ABR and we were getting sued by our insurance company for the accident.
How did they sue you?
Our merch guy got hurt, and since he was in the vehicle, we wanted to get him medical help, and basically they're like, well, he's an employee, even though we're such a small band still, we don't really have employees. And we have a thing called workman's comp in the States that's like, if you get hurt on the job, you get paid for it. But we were barely paying taxes. We were just starting as a business. Like we hadn't even really done anything yet. And they considered him to be, with some loopholes in the laws and stuff, they ended up considering him to be an employee. So they sued us for the money that they paid for him.
Wow.
Basically all the money that they paid for him. And took us about a year, and just so much stress, like not knowing if we were going to win, if we were going to lose, what to do. And on top of that, just like the struggle of touring, because we were just struggling with, from the accident, from the lack of money, and from just all that together on top of everything, and just the strain of being in a band with 4 other people, like it's not super easy all the time to be in a band with 4 other people that have big heads, and not saying like overly egotistical, but everyone that's in a band that makes music has an ego of some sort, like in some way and fashion. And sometimes those egos don't always work together perfectly like you'd want them to. And I think, he just kind of got to a point where he was like, I don't want to tour anymore, and Hollow Front wants to tour, and I want to do my own thing. And I think that him leaving was the first step to allowing him to kind of spread his wings and do his own thing. And as much as I wish he was still in the band, because he's an amazing singer, like he's one of the best vocalists I've ever worked with in a band, for sure. I applaud his him being truthful with himself and being like, this is what I really want, and this is what I don't want, and being able to draw the line and being like, for my own sake and my own mental health, I need to step away from Howlfront because they want to go down this path that I'm not really excited or interested in going down anymore. And I'm sure if we were just like an internet band and we were just chilling at home and not playing shows and not doing all that, maybe Dakota would be still interested. And I've talked to him, like, I would say it's probably a 95% chance that you will hear Dakota on another Howlfront song. He lives 20 minutes away from where we record. Like, and we've already talked all together. Like, hey, we would love to have him feature on songs on every album that we do forever. It's just not going to be like Dakota's in the band, he's going to be at the show, he's going to be on the tour, he's going to be at the meet and greet. It's just he's not interested in doing that anymore, and I 100% support him.
Yeah, I mean, if he's made his decision, all you could do is accept it, I suppose. I remember the times that he did give the band, and his, like you said, his amazing vocals, because I would say he's one of, if not probably top 3 best clean vocalists in alternative music, easily.
I agree. He's phenomenal, and I'm very proud of the work that we did together. And I try to look back on the fond memories. I don't look back on the little tiffs that we've had, or because you have those with everyone. In any band that you're gonna have disagreements, and I don't look at that stuff and be like, oh, I'm glad I don't have to do that with, I'm like, fuck, I kind of wish Dakota was here so we could argue about chicken wings or something, just like dumb shit. It's like, what's the best chicken wing, like what's the best flavor on it, just like we're brothers, and we are, brothers argue, and brothers get annoyed with each other, and I wouldn't give that up for anything. And I'm happy that I have those. I have lots of memories, especially road memories, because my first tour ever was with Dakota, and all of our first tours together were together. So it was very, very like we started and built this thing together, even though Hollowfront had been a band for about 3 years before they joined. But all the firsts were with them, and I cherish those memories, and I miss them. I miss Dakota when we went on the last tour without him. I miss them a lot. And I'm going to miss him on our next one, too, because I miss him singing. It's hard. Being both screaming and singing is tough. I'm still really nervous about that. But I'm just going to go out and give it my best. I'm not going to go out and be like, yes, this is my first tour as the singer, and I'm perfect. So I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to sing every note perfectly, and I'm the best singer in the world. I just don't. I'm not that person. And and even Dakota had nights where he struggled, and it's just being human, man, and not allowing the pressures of the industry and of being perfect. Like you can't expect to show up to a concert and expect someone to sound like the exact album.
No.
It's like I never have, never will, and yeah, I'm a little nervous, but I'll have the spirit of Dakota there on my shoulder, saying, all right, now here comes the high note.
I mean, everything we've just gone over there, and I remember the accident, to be fair, like it was yesterday. I remember seeing the articles. I think there was a track or two out around the time of the accident as well. And, I mean, fair play to carrying on, because, bands have been in accidents and that's been the end. So, all credit to you. I mean, it takes a lot to carry on. I imagine that it was a terrifying experience, and you just carried on.
Yeah, I think we didn't really know what to do. It was kind of like just get one foot in front of the other. We were in the middle of a tour. We were on a tour of Fit for a King and Silent Planet, and it was like mostly we just didn't want to let people down. I think that was the main thing. Is like we don't want fans to be let down, or we don't want to let down the touring party. It's like we felt embarrassed a little bit about, even though it really wasn't our fault. It was just like, oh shit, like this is embarrassing. It was only like a week into the tour, so there was 5 weeks left, and we were stuck in a hotel for a few days in Portland, Oregon, and then we were able to find a van, and we just got back on the tour and just kept going, even though and it was rough because we ended up getting a driver because none of us wanted to drive after the accident. We all just wanted to kind of hang out, and we had a friend that we met up with, and he drove the rest of the tour. But yeah, even then, like laying in the back of the van, just being like, oh, that corner was a little fast, buddy. Like, oh shit, that rumble strip on the side of the road, just oh my god, just like white knuckling the entire tour and just trying to, and there was some other stuff that was going on in the band at the time that was like that I guess exasperated the situation, and it was just like, fuck, this is going to be a rough tour. And then we stopped home. We played a hometown show in the middle of the tour, and then we left for the second half of the tour. So it was like, came home after this accident, seeing my kids for the first time, and like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to go back out, kind of a feeling. And you're like, but it's your job, and you got to do it. But that was hell going home. And then just like it was pretty rough. But I think we kind of just disassociated and kind of just pushed it down and was like, we're here for a reason. We're not gonna let this accident like destroy us. And we never expected the stuff that was going to happen afterward to happen, like the law. We never even once thought of we were ever going to get into a lawsuit.
Well, yeah,
that was never a forethought. So we just were like, okay, well, it sucks. Like our bus is destroyed, and we had to spend $20,000 to get a van. But we'll be okay. We'll be okay. And we did it like a GoFundMe and stuff like that, and that helped out. And
a lot of my
we were mostly worried about that, and Davey and like our merch guy who he'll be playing bass for us now on the road. But he was just like really fucked up. Like we had to fly him home, and it was a really sticky situation, but we got through it. And I mean, everything that happened after that was somewhat of a result. It all kind of stems from that one incident. But we're still here, and we're still doing what we've, me and Lee's been writing with Hollowfront since our first EP. So not a lot of people know that. A lot of people and not to throw Dakota under the bus, but it's just the truth. Like a lot of people, when he left, they're like, oh shit, they're losing their main songwriter, and it isn't true. Like Lee's written pretty much all of our instrumentals for the last 4 albums. You know,
wow.
Like from Still Life on, he wrote pretty much all of it. And there's a couple songs that Dakota has like that are only him. He wrote and, you know, produced all the stuff, and then, you know, we took it to the studio. But for the most part, yeah, like Lee's the guitar player and always has been, and always has written all the riffs and written all the riffs everybody knows. And, you know, it's so we didn't really, as much as it sucked losing Dakota because we lost that was an integral part to the sound with his voice, we were able to keep the instrumental side pretty much the exact same side and same, and then my vocals obviously screaming are the same.
Yep.
And then just being like, so what do we do? What do we do now? Like, there was a few options, you know. Do we just go straight heavy, you know, where it's like, because I mean, we knew that I've sang in the past. I sang on Thick as Blood. I sang on I did some backing in Loose Threads, and I did some parts in Afflicted, and on our reimagined like acoustic songs, I sang on those. But it was like, do I have the voice that can prop up an entire band? You know, we were very, neither of us were super confident until we, you know, really started messing around and writing like the new stuff. And so yeah, we were like, do we just go heavy? Do we get a new vocalist? And all this was kind of happening. We'd already started pre-production like when Dakota left. So we, you know, like it was like, oh shit, like our album would be a totally different. This would be a totally different album.
Yeah.
If Dakota was on in the band, because we had plans. He was going to be featured a lot more than he even was on the last album. Like
okay.
It was going to be very like 50-50 with me and him, where he was singing as much as I was screaming, and it was, so we just had to completely just change gears, you know, in almost mid sentence. You know, we're like, oh, Dakota's going to do that. Oh shit, he left. So now you know, what are we going to do? And finding somebody, to me, it just felt cheap, man. It's like, well, we could just go out and find somebody, but it's like, we have no connection to them. We don't, you know, it's like adding him. When you add someone in your band that sings, they automatically become a face. Like Dakota, when he joined, he was just a guitarist. We knew he could sing, but we were writing music at the time that didn't require him to sing.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, well, he came in as a guitarist first, and then we gradually, you know, added his vocals. And after a year or two of working with him, it's like, man, we're just going to find somebody that can sing just to put them on our album because they can sing, and then not know if they're going to stay around, not know if we're going to be able to stand them or make some kind of lasting relationship with them.
Yeah.
To me, it was like, that's such a cheap option. I don't want to just go out and find a dude that can sing just for the fact that he can sing. So I was like, let's just try. And Lee agreed with me. We were it was like a 20-minute conversation, and that that took us to decide, like, no, we're going to do this album with my singing, whether people like it or not, and then just kind of see how it goes. And as the first couple songs were definitely a struggle, just because it was a new world that I hadn't really ever stepped into formally. You know, I've done like the scream singing stuff and the screaming and singing in previous bands, but I wasn't doing it well, you know, and I've never been like a melody writer. So I had a lot of help on on this record with Lee helping with melodies, because he's just a producer and he works with a lot of bands. So he's just very into that, like writing vocals and stuff like that. And so he helped me with my singing, and we figured it out. But the first couple songs were definitely a struggle. And then we kind of I think by the time we got to Will I Run was kind of where we were like, all right, this is how your voice works, you know, and this is what we can do with your voice.
Yep.
And we can add like the extra little like splashes of stuff that, you know, we had to work, you know, actually work towards, like that high note in Will I Run. I'm never gonna be like, listen, I walked right up there and was like, like I did not just walk into the booth and be like, I have this undiscovered talent that no one, you know. It took many tries, and it will take a lot of practice before I can hit that, you know, perfectly every time. But it was like, let's just not really super worry about that. Let's just make the best music that we possibly can and worry about the other stuff later, you know?
Yeah.
It's like we'll we'll back ourselves into a corner a little bit probably in some spots, but we'll find it. We'll be like a raccoon and we'll just hiss our way out, just like we're gonna figure it out, which we always have. But yeah, it was nerve-wracking, and I think when we did Will I Run, it was kind of like, oh man, I've always wanted to write a song like this, but I've always been too afraid of doing it because I've only been known as the screamer, and like, do people really even want to hear this from me? And and then making it a single was kind of like, we're really doubling down on it. Like this gonna have a music video, it's gonna be a single, we're putting it out, and you're gonna like it or not, one of the two. And I'm pleasantly surprised by the amount of, like, you get the people like, this is generic garbage, but it's like they listen to like the band that's like their name is so long and you can't even read it's like this underground like gore metal band that you just no one can read their fucking logo. It's like, I understand we're not for everybody and we never will be, which is completely fine. But the amount of positivity that I've gotten is crazy. Like, oh, your vocals are, amazing, or they're insane. And like, oh my God, I never knew you could do this. And honestly, that felt really good and kind of like made me even more like excited for the other songs that were coming out where I was singing a lot.
No, I mean, like I've said to you before, and obviously when I first messaged as well, the album is just phenomenal. It's definitely some of your best work, if not probably the best yet. And I mean that it's so good, and for me to come to that kind of conclusion, being such a big Dakota fan of not having his vocals on every track, like, yeah, dude, your vocals are phenomenal on this album. Like, super talented. I wish I could do that. It really
means a lot, dude. I started when I started my musical journey, I guess you could say, there was no screaming, there was no bands. I was listening to like radio music, like we were talking about earlier, Metallica and like all the, this is radio rock, and Linkin Park and those kind of bands is when I really started to get into like, I want to be Chester Bennington, I want to be on stage, and I want to bleach dye my hair blonde, and I want to, like, I want to be a rock star with tattoos on his arms, and and I think that's when my dream kind of started, but there wasn't like real screaming, it's like, so I was singing, and I spent a lot of years singing and playing, doing karaoke and like those kind of things, as a young kid, just standing on my bed with a microphone that doesn't work. It's just got a cord that dangles down, and just like, I'm a rock star and I'm on my stage, and this is what I want to do. And probably, to my parents' credit, they, as much as, my childhood was up and down, but they allowed me to listen to music as loud as I wanted in my room. And just, that really was, some people, I guess parents are like, you can't listen to Limp Bizkit, like you can't listen to, they talk about naughty stuff. And my parents were maybe not the best at censoring, they should have been a little bit better, but I think that helped me because I was able to discover whatever I wanted to, whatever music was out there, I was able to listen to it. And my dad was in music when I was growing up, so that kind of was the first, watching my dad's cover band play music and playing music that I liked, playing Linkin Park and Korn and Slipknot. Like, I was like, oh yes, like this is what I want to do, and when you're a kid, you're like, oh, I dream of being in a cover band, like it's like your dreams aren't super high yet, and then you're like, you go to your first concert and it's like, oh my God, I want to be on the stage now, and you get the bug, and you're like, I want to be that person, and I want these people cheering for me, and I want them singing my words, and I want them, and it took me a long time to get to this point. But yeah, I think we're finally there, at least in a fashion that younger me would have never been able to comprehend.
See, that's one thing.
Still wish I was arenas and like I had like an entourage, like a limousine or something, with a bunch of money. I think I'm never gonna turn that down. But I'm happy with the amount of success that we've done, and I think once we realized that, hey, we don't need all these other members, because we could have filled out a whole nother band and we would have had 4 more people in the pot to like put their input and their opinions. But Lee and I just work so well together. Like, we have the same vision of what the music should be and what the sound should be and what we want to do and what we want to try. There was no arguing. So it's like a song like Breaking Teeth. It's like, we want a heavy slam hardcore song with some deathcore elements. Okay, cool. Oh, we want to do Will I Run, which is like a rock ballad kind of, it's like with a little bit of screaming, it still has the metalcore feel, but it's very more rock ballady. And it's like, we just will do whatever the fuck we want. But we both gravitate toward that same like style of, of what we want to hear. And I think that is why we're both still here, because we just have the same vision for what Hollowfront should be. And now, Lee joined the band like officially in 2021, but like I said, he's been here since 2016. Yeah. Producing and recording our music, and he's kind of become just as much ingrained into Hollowfront as I, like it's in our blood, and it's really the band that we both have always dreamed of being in. And I think that's also helped, because we could have written an album and been like, yeah, it just didn't work. We tried, at least we didn't give up, and we put out an album and we did what we were supposed to do. But when we wrote this album, we're like, shit, we could do this, but better. Yeah. We could do better than this. And I think that's exciting because, I think we wrote this album pretty quickly. It was like 2 months, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 3. But yeah, we had the 2 songs with Dakota, so we only wrote 8 new songs. We did the Under Pressure. We actually wrote that in 2021, so that song's been chilling. That song was chilling for a while in the archives, and we honestly didn't even know if we were going to use it. But when Dakota left, and we'd done Letting Go before Dakota left, probably about 4 or 5 months before he left, and I didn't have any vocals on any of these songs, so all my vocals came afterwards. So my vocals kind of were more in line with after Dakota left, so that's where my emotions were in the parts that I wrote.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like we just got lucky, I think, and we're just like busted it out in 2 months. And I know what we can do better, but I'm very happy with what we were able to accomplish in such a small amount of time after an integral member left. It was, but I think that also was like, oh shit, like we have so much to prove, so I think that also lit a fire under my ass. And there's some other things, like we lost our managers and we lost our booking agents, like pretty much as soon as Dakota left, they're like, yeah, we don't believe in this project anymore, and dipped. And understandable, it's business, and I think we were having so many internal struggles as well, that it was like, this band's a lot more problem than they're worth kind of feeling. But yeah, I think that was just another motivation to be like, okay, well, let's prove those people wrong. You know?
I'm hoping they're probably sitting there now going, fuck.
I hope so, but at the same time, like I'm not living for that. It's like, whatever. If they listen to it, they listen to it. If they don't, they don't. I didn't write this album for them.
No,
I wrote this album for me, and for and I'm sure Lee like Will I Run. I didn't write the lyrics for that one. Actually, Lee wrote the lyrics for that one. That's the first song that I've never wrote. I helped with some stuff like arranging and stuff like that, but yeah, we're just kind of becoming more of like a duo team, where it's not just like, oh, you wrote the instrumental, oh, you wrote the lyrics. It's like we work together, and it's just us two, and it becomes so much easier to navigate schedules and just be like, hey, want to record it? We're record today, and he's like, yeah, let's go. And then I just hop over to his house, and most of the time I'll basically sleep on his couch, or he has like a room full of like beds that he has for bands when they stay, so I'll stay there. Or I'm just basically, whenever we write and record music, I'm at Lee's house 24/7, and and that's his job. So like, if he's he records in his basement, so that's his job. So it's not like he has anywhere special to be.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, we've gone over quite a few of the questions that I had kind of lined up just through talking naturally anyway, which is always good when that happens. one of the ones that I did want to cover, I suppose, is obviously it's been out a few weeks. I mean, I've seen the streaming figures on some of these tracks. They're incredible. How has it gone down with the fans?
I think, well, I mean, you get your, I liked Loose Threads better, or I liked The Price of Dreaming better. It's like, you're never going to get away from those kind of people. It's like, I understand that because even I'm like that with some, like, there's never going to be another Hybrid Theory or Meteora or it's like, you can't top those albums. And I don't expect to. That's why it's like, we don't try to top an album. We just write songs that we like. And for the most part, though, yeah, great reception. Especially after losing Dakota, it's like, fuck. I knew that some people are probably like, yeah, I like it better with Dakota, which is fine. Like, I understand that, but for the most part, yeah, people have been very kind and very encouraging. And I think it's definitely a good step towards the band that will become. Like, this is just the first album, like, with us as a duo.
Yeah.
And I think that it's as much as I'm proud of it. And I know we can do better, and I know that we will do better, and we'll just continue to trying to do better every time without looking back and being like, oh, we need to top this, because it's not about that. It's not about topping Loose Threads. It's not about, doing better than Still Life or any of those albums that we've done. It's just about what we can do in the moment that makes us happy and what we enjoy and have fun listening to. And that's really all it is. It's like, oh, that riff makes my, I'm like, oh shit, that's sick. And then I think of some lyrics or I think of some screams and I'm like, yeah, we could do that. And then we just get excited, like, we're like two little boys down in a basement. Well, that sounds bad, but we're just a couple of young lads down in the working area, just making songs and having a good time. And yeah.
Nah, but I mean, it's definitely gone down well with the people who first introduced me to you guys anyway. And I mean, I took like a bit, well, it wasn't like a planned 2-week break, but I was kind of trying to get the other channel off the ground. And the messages in the Discord were like, dude, can you please stop sleeping on the new Hollowfront album and get it on the channel? I'm like, yeah, and I didn't listen to it. That's one of the things that I've always stuck to, because otherwise it's not a reaction, and it's just like, you've already heard it, and it's there's telltale signs, and people who say like they don't listen to it, they've never listened to it first time hearing and all that kind of stuff. Some of them just give it away straight away. It's like, I've actually seen some people where they'll go, and just listen to this drum beat change, and I'm like, this is the first time you've heard it, so how do you know that's coming up? So it's things like that. But no, the reception
is a disingenuous place, my friend.
The reception from at least from my subscribers has been phenomenal, as always. I mean, we've covered a lot of the Dakota thing. I know, kind of from my opinion, I was excited, like I say, for the album we spoke about before. I was kind of not concerned in a bad way. It was more of a, where the fuck are they going to go in the direction of this album? Because I know that Tyler's got the screams, and I honestly didn't know that you could sing the way that you can on this album. So it was kind of, we're going to have the screams, and then when that clean is going to go, what happens? Where do we go? Like, what? And then, I mean, the top 3 tracks, I've wrote them down from the reactions that I've done, and from listening to the album about probably 20 odd times already now. I've gone over it again. Will I Run? Definitely, probably, if not favourite, Over the Cradle is.
Okay, cool.
That riff.
Yeah,
it's
that's a great song. And that one's, and like a lot of the album is about like the stuff with the band, but that's like one of the songs that's like very just personal about my mom, and just like the relationship that we had was just shitty when I was a kid. And so that was a song that I've, and I have always kind of wanted to write, but I was always kind of afraid because I don't want to, me and my mom are good now, so I just don't want to like rub dirt on the wound, like that kind of a thing. But I think it actually has helped us even more, I think, to kind of just be a little bit more open and talking to each other about the shit that happened when I was a kid that, you can't really take back, but, you only can do what you can do by moving forward. And I think, that song is, I love that song. I love the ending of that song. It's my favorite part on the whole album, just that acoustic part. Just it's almost like a lot, because the title Over the Cradle, I stole that from like an old nursery rhyme, like a bedtime, like a lullaby kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I thought that would kind of fit just a little bit, because it's about a mother and about, and that ending part, that the acoustic part's almost like a lullaby, even though it's kind of like the lyrics aren't very lullaby-y. They're really like, sad and a little bit more, a little bit resentful, I think. Yeah, I just love that acoustic. When Lee showed me the acoustic part, I was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Because I love when metal bands go soft, you know, in parts. Like, I hate an album that's just like balls to the wall the entire time. Like, we need songs like Will I Run, or just parts of songs, like, because even Over the Cradle's like has its heavy parts and it has its riffy parts, but it has like the singing chorus, like, the classic metalcore, and then at the end it just has that acoustic part that just kind of like fades out with the singing, and it's like, and then you go into Crash and Burn, which is like a heavy song. It's like, we like the juxtaposition, the change up, the changes in BPM, the changes in, just like not having it all be the same.
Yeah.
And I think we accomplished that more on this record than we did The Price of Dreaming. I think The Price of Dreaming suffered for a few reasons, even though I'm very proud of that record. I think it's great, and I think some of the Dakota parts are some of the best singing I've ever heard from him.
Yep.
I think that album just suffered because we were taken out of our comfort zone. We recorded with another producer, and it was just very like, wasn't as controlled by us, and we didn't have the time that we have when we're at home, because when we're at home we can work whenever, but when you're working with someone, you work on their time.
Yeah. And
we're very like, oh, let's take 5-hour break in the middle of the day, and we'll be up till 4 a.m, like writing, like at home it's so much better. And I think that I wish we could have done The Price of Dreaming at home. Not to say, like I said, I'm proud of that record, I'm happy with that record, but that record suffered from a lot of, I feel like I was just mentioning earlier, where it's like almost samey. It's very like almost the same BPM and same tuning, and there's different like Heritage and stuff have like heavier tunings, but that record suffered because we were disconnected as a group and we were working in tandem. So Lee was over in one room recording guitars and stuff, and we were in another room working on vocals.
Yeah.
So I was just very disconnected versus what we've done on like Loose Threads and on this album especially, yeah, I think we just like to have variety in our music, like a song like Breaking Teeth, and then a song like Stay With Me, and it's just like, it's like those songs literally butt up next to each other. They should not be on the same record. What the fuck is going on? But it's like, we're never gonna be the band that's like, we're only a heavy band, we're only a light band, we're only, it's like we're everything, and we're gonna do whatever we want and continue to do it because fuck it, we like doing what we want.
But I think it gives the album an identity with doing that as well. Albums that are the same track, same at the same. It's kind of, I always say when I go to the end of the year and try and pick an album of the year and things, an album that you could just press play wherever and just play.
Yeah.
That's got different things there. Say you were starting to lose focus for a minute, you go, whoa, where the fuck did that come from? Like, that shouldn't work, but does. Right. It takes a lot to make a solid album. From like the listener's point of view. I mean, I'm a musician myself. I understand music and things. I've studied music and stuff. But also, like you were saying then, with The Price of Dreaming, it's interesting to hear from the artists themselves that, that we didn't get to do that properly, or we didn't get to necessarily do it the way we wanted to. And I think that's always super interesting, because as a fan of the band, we ultimately hear the finished product, and that's all we ever really find out and know. So it's just super interesting. I mean, probably like yourself, I could sit and talk music all day. It's just something, I love it.
I have been for the last 20 years now. It's my life, man. It's like, and I think obviously things are different now, being in a more widely recognized band versus the bands I was in before, which nobody knew, just very local, barely had local fans, So yeah, I mean, talking music and connecting with people in music is just, it's how I communicate. It's my language, and I like, and I try to be just transparent. I don't ever try to be like, oh, Price of Dreaming was perfect, and everything was perfect with it. No, there was lots of things about that album that I'm like, man, I wish we could have did that differently. I wish you look back, you're like, oh, man, I wish that lyric was different. It would have made more sense if I would have said this, or if I'd done this scream here or this. And you just change that shit live. You just like, I'll do a low here instead of a high. Just fun little changes and stuff that you didn't get to do on the record. But I think the process overall, the best process for Hollow Front is at Lee's in his basement, not looking at the outside world. Just like no sun, there's no windows down there, so you don't know what time of day it is. I think that that's just the best process for us, is just at home, where we have complete control over the time and over the workflow and over when we can do things and when we can't, and like, hey, well, I can't really make it today, and that's cool, we'll just pick it up tomorrow. Whereas when you go out of state and you're there you only have 4 weeks, and you're going to a studio with people that work Monday through Friday 9 to 5, or something like that. It's something around there, 9 to 6 or something like that. It's like you only get that amount of time, and then they want to take breaks, and then because it's just a normal work day for them. They want to take their lunch break, and they want to take their break. They want to let's hang out and just talk for a little while, which is fine for us because we do that. There will be days where we'd be like, oh shit, we didn't get anything done. We just kind of sat around and bullshitted. But then it's like, oh, well, it's 2 a.m. Are you awake? Yeah, I'm awake. You want to just work on music? And then, we'll stay up till 6 in the morning working on music. And I'll be half asleep on the couch, and Lee will be like, listen to this fucking breakdown. And I'm just like, that's sick. Actually, a funny story about Ghosted from our album Loose Threads. And this is when Lee was our producer. He wasn't in the band, so we were still paying him for music. We were still paying him per song. Yeah. And I think we were paying him like a couple $100, $400 a song or something like that at the time. And like we went to a heavy concert the night before. I think it was like Fit for a King was playing with like Crystal Lake, and that was the first time we ever saw Crystal Lake. And they were just like, and they played like the heaviest music that they had on that tour, and it was like, oh shit, okay. So we went home, and it's like, it was way late. It was like 7 in the morning. I'm like half asleep on the couch, and I'm actually the person in the band that when somebody writes something super heavy, I'm like, put some melody in that, man. I want some melody in my heavy, And Lee's just like, he's like, I'm just gonna write the most ignorant, down-tuned song I've ever written. He's like, what about this? Bomb. I'm just like, I'm from the couch half asleep. No, no, we're not doing that. And he's like, come on, man. It's like, we could just do the heaviest song. It doesn't matter. Just be ignorantly heavy. And I'm like, no, I hate that, dude. I don't want to do that. He's like, I'll give it to you for free. And I'm like, my eyes open. I'm like, all right, write it up.
You start making the caveman kind of heavy stuff. It's crazy.
He knows how to get me with free shit. He's like, oh, you like free stuff? All right, here's a free song. Yeah, I mean, I'm historically not like the heaviest stuff that we've written. I'm like, I could live without it. I like to be more like the melodics. I think like We're All Left Suffering is a really good example of like metalcore. It's metalcore. Like it has like the metalcore riffs, and it has like the screaming verses, and then the singing chorus, and then the breakdown. Let's break their fucking hearts. Like that
so good.
It's very like it's very metalcore, like how I see metalcore. That's kind of like where I lie as far as heavy music. I like heavy stuff, but I like it to have melody. But then we do a song like Breaking Teeth, and I'm like, just write that. I'm pissed. I want to write something pissed. Give me something pissed. And we went more towards the hardcore side on that, and I'm like, I like this. I want to just punch someone in the face, kind of a feeling. And we just like the variety, but I am typically the guy that's like, I don't want it to be all heavy, That's why we only have like a couple heavy songs per album. It's like, let's just do like 2 really heavy songs, and then we'll have songs that are heavy but have singing, and then we'll do songs that have more singing than screaming, and let's just have that variety. And
I think that kind of gives Hollow Front something for everyone, which I think is a good idea, because you guys are accessible to someone who maybe wants the heavy. They could throw the odd heavy track on the playlist. People like the more melodic, but then you've got the tracks that have a bit of both. So there's nothing wrong with versatility. I mean, it's great, because it just showcases your guys' talent more. It makes the band more accessible. I think it will definitely bring more fans in, and you will not get them people going, oh, well, they just get like a 7 or an 8 string out and they just chug like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, says the person who just bought an 8 string and just likes to chug, but it's fun.
Hey, there's room for everyone. I just think for us personally, it's just we're on this is our 5th release, so it's like I think we have like 50 something songs now.
Yeah.
It's just like it would be boring to just do the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And just trying new things like in one of your actions you were talking about like the dance stuff. And we really leaned into that on this album and like 4 songs. I think we have like 4 songs that have a lot of like dancey stuff, like dance beat, and we were just literally fucking around, and Lee was like, and I think it was Breaking Teeth because there's like that kick bass,
Yep.
like with a lot of electronics in the breakdown, and it's like he did that in the breakdown. I'm like, oh shit, and I'm like, fist pumping, and I'm like, yes, this is sick, this is fun. This is fun. My immediate reaction was like, I like this. This is interesting, and it's not like it hasn't been done before. It's not like we invented that or anything.
No, but it's
like,
coming back. That's the thing. Like all the bands from probably like 2006, everyone was doing it. But
yeah, like Attack Attack, all those bands.
Yeah,
it's like very like they were a little bit more techno, I think, than we're a little bit more, I think, dark electronic,
yeah,
kind of like hard style kind of a feeling. But yeah, I mean, just like and that's funny because it wasn't like we were like, oh, this band's doing this, so we should probably try it. It was like, nah, we just pulled it out of his ass and was like, yeah, let's throw some 2010s metalcore into this bitch. And I'm just like, hell yeah, some
it works.
synth and fucking.
It really does work.
I think that was, yeah. I mean, and who knows if that'll be like our new thing. It probably won't. We'll probably still do stuff, but it's not going to be like our identity.
Yeah.
But it was just really cool to be able to find something new to us, and to integrate it into like this new album that it's kind of like the first step in the new sound of Holofront, because as far as I'm concerned, like I only see it being Lee and I forever, just him and I. And I remember distinctly in 2018, I was very mentally down, and Holofront was just it was very local, and we just had only put out one thing, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm like, I don't, music is hard. It's hard, and it's like constant grinding, constantly selling yourself. And it's just like, fuck, I don't know if I want to do this. And Lee was on the phone, and he was going to like California to meet up with some friends or something. And he's like, listen, as long as you and I are friends and Holofront will always exist. And whether we're touring or whether we're playing shows or we're just on the internet, Holofront can exist as long as you want it to. And that's kind of, we've come around full circle to that now. It's like, now it's just Lee and I, because we struggled a lot of years picking band members, and Dakota and Brandon were kind of fell into our lap, and we're like, that's it. They're the people that are going to stay. And we still mess around with drummers, trying to find the right drummer, and it just never really happened. And before I think we have like 6 former guitar players or something like that. Like, just a very hard start of trying to figure out who would be the best people to have in this band. And not that Dakota and Brandon weren't the best people to have at the time, but we'd already had the people. It was just me and Lee and I were already there. So it was cool to kind of come full circle and see that that conversation become a reality, where it's like, as long as we're both here, Holofront will exist as long as we want it to.
Well, from a fan's perspective, that's really good to hear as well, because, like I said in the reactions, one of the things I would have hated is if you guys had gone, no, let's just stop. Let's call time.
I mean, it was in the cards, man. It was very close. Like I just hit after hit after hit after hit, and then Dakota leaving. I was like, dude, what the fuck, man? Because it was like when Dakota left, it was so I mean, I know he'd been struggling and I'd been struggling, so we were just kind of all struggling together. And I knew that he was, unhappy in life. I didn't know he was going to leave the band or anything. But when he told me, I was like, fuck. So I had to go to the label. And I felt like I almost like was like tail between my legs, kind of like, here's another thing that I got to tell you that's happening to us that's pretty fucking bad, and it's like, it was embarrassing, but at the same time, it was the push that we needed.
How did they react to that at the time? Because obviously, from a fan's perspective, again, Dakota was such a big part, and it was part of the sound as well. So,
I mean, like I said, managers dipped.
Yeah.
They dipped out. Label was very, I think, unfortunately, we're a little contractually obligated. I know they were very supportive. They understood, because Dakota reached out and kind of told his side, and it wasn't like fuck Hollow Front, like I don't want to be in a band with those dudes. Fuck those guys. Like, it had nothing to do with that. It was just, this isn't the life that he wants. Like, it's not for him. The touring and all that, the strain and the stress and the grind. It's not what he wants to do. He wants to, he wants to be home, and he wants to make music on his own time, and not really. There's a lot of pressure when you get into the public eye.
Yeah.
You're always being constantly compared to other people, either in a good way or in a bad way, and it's just a lot of shit to, it's a lot to deal with all the time. A lot of everything that people see, it's not what's really happening. It's that's the perception of the internet. There's the multiple messages from people that trauma dump on us, and and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm never like against that kind of stuff, but there's just a lot of being in a band. There's a lot of responsibility, and a lot of you feel responsible for all your fans, even though that's impossible. It's just, and it gets to be a lot. When you're trying to I probably answer 10 messages a day, and it's not, that doesn't sound like a lot, but you also don't want to be impersonal to people. So I take a lot of thought process and a lot of mental bandwidth to like talk to everyone individually as individuals, and not just be like, when I'm commenting on like YouTube and stuff, if it's not like if it's not like somebody that I'm like, oh, thanks, I appreciate you listening, thanks for the support. That's very generic, like, but when someone messages me and tells me, hey, your song saved my life, like, I can't just be like, hey, thanks, like, you gotta go into that with a certain caveat, and kind of, and you also don't want to just leave them on red, because I feel like that's also worse, because it's like someone comes to you and like, yeah, I think about killing myself, or I'm thinking about this and this, and you're like, fuck, I'm not answering that, like, I'm not getting involved.
The fact that you reply to them is really good.
Yeah, and I think that that's just another added thing on top of just being in a band in general, and dealing with finances and taxes, and there's just so much that people don't know about, like, being in a band that has. I can't even imagine like a person like Chris Motionless, or like, there's no way that they can even keep up. At some point you just have to become impersonal, because you have to become more than just a normal person. You're that big of a star in the genre, like, or like Courtney LaPlante. Like, I can't even imagine how many unread messages she has, like probably million messages.
I mean, I always leave a little heart. I always say to my viewers, if I've left a heart on the comment, I've seen it. I'll probably try and reply at some point. I mean, I'm not saying my channel's big, because it's not in the grand scheme of things with some of the reactors out there, but I always try and reply, because I always think they took the time to come on. Because, like I've said in previous videos, I press that upload button, it goes to the other side of that screen, and I don't see what people say or think, so that's my way of interacting with them. I mean, I have people that come up to me at shows and ask for pictures, and it blows my mind. I'm like, I'm just an idiot on the internet, swearing a lot, and it's crazy, but you're right. Sometimes you just can't. So a video will upload, it'll take off, and then you come back half an hour later, there's 300 comments.
So many comments here. I'm gonna reply as much as I can. I would, my rule is like on a like a release day, like, let's say like Will I Run, for example, when that music video came out, like, I spend that entire first day answering comments. Like, I will get to as many as I possibly can. but then like next day I got to move on to
Yeah.
the next thing, and I'll go back, and because you know how comments are, it'll be a lot at the beginning, and then it'll kind of trickle down, and it'll be a couple a day, or it'll be one a week, or even sometimes it gets down to no more, or you get one a year or something. I try to go back and look at all. I think we have like 20 music videos now or something crazy or something. So I try to go back to everyone and try to comment back as far as possible. But yeah, it does get overwhelming.
It's really cool though, because a lot of people, I mean, I'm guessing the fans will really, really appreciate that. But I know we were speaking before. It means a lot to us as creators when obviously we're putting the band out there, and the band come and comment on it. You're like, holy shit! Like I love them guys, and they're leaving a comment. So it's really cool. But yeah, obviously we've gone over quite a lot. One thing I did want to touch on, and obviously I'm conscious of the time, I don't want to keep you too much. You kind of covered it a little bit, but the one thing I did want to touch on was there's some feels in the lyrics on this album. There's I'd probably say some dark stuff as well. I actually pulled the lyrics up to a couple of tracks and was just like, damn.
Yeah, I mean, dark period.
Yeah.
Dark, and it was like all those. It's probably our most authentic album, just because I think that there's a few songs like "Stay With Me" and "Over the Cradle" have nothing to do with what was going on with the band.
Yeah.
Like has a lot to do with my emotions and the darkness that I live with and just past stuff that I'm still dealing with. But the rest of the songs are spot on about about just the life in general during this period where Howlfront was just dealing with the worst bad luck, and we wrote it so quick. Like Dakota quit end of January, so February, I'd say like February 1st, around there, and we started recording March 1st. So
wow.
I had about a month of letting it sink in and us figuring out what we were going to do and if the band was even going to continue, and so yeah, it was very fresh. Everything was fresh, and like I was talking about earlier, like Under Pressure and Letting Go were recorded before Dakota left, and like only with his vocals. So the instrumental was fully done and his vocals were fully done. Those songs transformed for me. I turned those into songs about the situation, whereas Letting Go is a song about Dakota's ex-girlfriend. Like he's speaking about a girlfriend, but when I'm like, the lyrics that I'm saying are directly to Dakota. Like I'm speaking to him. Like,
yeah.
And I turned Letting Go and from a breakup song into a this is about Dakota. It's still a breakup song, but it's Dakota breaking up with Howlfront, kind of a thing. And I never thought that was going to happen. I always whether Brandon stayed or I always expected me, Lee, and Dakota were going to be solid people, for the until the end of the band. But yeah, I think that helped write some raw lyrics, because I just felt like we were just getting hit after hit. And Breaking Teeth is a good example of a song. I'm just pissed. Like I feel like every chance that we've gotten, I've like, it's like an apple that you bite into, but it ends up being a rock. It's like you're just breaking your teeth on every bite of life that you're taking. And it's like, yes, people are like, well, you still have this many people that listen to your music, and you still have this, and you still have, yeah, but you don't know what's going on in deeper. You're only seeing the surface shit. And you're like, yeah, they have 200,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. They're amazing. They're doing amazing. It's like, that doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. And I think with that, and like losing our managers and losing, just our booking agents, it was like, dude, I'm just pissed, and I want to write a piss song. And then there was the song, I think, Will I Run. I guess that song technically would not really be about, because Lee wrote the lyrics for that. That one's more of like geared towards his daughter and like his struggle with like finding out that he was going to have a kid when he really wasn't like looking for that, or really, it was unexpected, and his like fear of like dealing with that and like not running away from his problems and kind of just like being there. And and so I think that I helped with that too, because I have kids, so it was easy for me to help with lyrics on that one. But yeah, every other song, like the fear of that song's technically about me being afraid of losing Hollow Front because I don't know who I am without it, and like it feels like my purpose, and I you know, and there's a part where it's almost a realization that I'm not going to give it up, you know, even though it's hell on earth sometimes, you know, like sometimes it's like, what am I doing? Why am I still doing this to myself? I'm a masochist. But yeah, I think that song is just about being afraid of letting it go, you know. And there's a lot of I say let go and letting. I say that a lot in this album. There's a lot of let goes.
Yeah.
And it's some of it was intentional, some of it was unintentional. And you're like, oh shit, that connected. Look at me. Look how smart I am. But it all kind of encompasses the same, you know. And I think that even like the album artwork, it's like a hand going through the crown of thorns kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That to me, it's not religious, and I'll say that here because we're not meanly or atheists, so we're not religious at all. But to me, it was like that thorn, that crown of thorns was like it's like the gauntlet that we've gone. You know, it's like you're going through it and you're getting those cuts and those scrapes, but you're still solid on the other side. You know, you're still whole. You know, but you have some scars and you have some cuts. And
it's an interesting way of putting
it. But you're still like, you know, you're still there and you're still making it through. You're going through like that circle of thorns is almost like life, you know. Yeah. And it's like life isn't meant to just, you're not gonna go through on life being carried around on a pillow, you know. Like you're gonna
hell no.
You're getting cuts and bruises and some bangs and some, you know, some brain damage going through life. And I think that's kind of like where the album artwork kind of came into place.
Well, I mean, I've said it many a times. It's such a strong, well put together album. Only today I was walking back from when I'd been out today just to take the drone out for a bit of a fly, and the album was on Spotify. I've been listening to it solidly for the past week and a bit since filming the reactions, because I always find with a track, you can listen to it first time, give your first time thoughts and say whatever, but then I always find like 3 or 4 listens in, I might find something that I go, oh, I missed that, or I'll interpret it totally different, or again, being a guitarist, I'll study that riff a little bit more and see if I can figure it out. But no, it's a solid piece of work. I'm so happy you guys are still putting music out. You know, it's not just one of these things I'm saying because you're here now, but Hollow Front have been one of my favourite bands since discovering you guys. So the fact that you're still around, you're still going to get new music. We've just got this album. From a fan, it does mean a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I think, and not to spoil it too much, but you'll probably hear new music sooner than you would think too. We've already started working on shit, so
nice.
It's only a matter of time before we release new music next year. You know, some stuff next year. It might not be a full album next year. We don't know exactly what our hope is to put out another album next year. But just kind of going with the flow. But there will be new music for sure, and that's kind of like. And I think we talked about this before we went air, but we're starting to be more community focused. Like we're trying to be. Like, and it's not, and obviously Patreon, it's still a business thing. You're trying to make money or whatever, but that's not really what it's about. It's, you know, it's about getting people closer to us. And that's why we're starting a Discord server, and it's going to have a bunch of stuff where Lee and I will be in there all the time, you know, doing crazy fun things. And like, we'll have our Patreon where we do like even more exclusive stuff, like tabs and like tabs for all of our songs, and like production videos, and like talking about how songs are made, and me going in depth on lyrics and just stuff that you wouldn't see on like our Instagram or stuff like that anybody can get, you know, just trying to be more inclusive to the people that actually have propped us up and kept us going and have bought merch and have bought, you know, and trying to give back as much as we can of ourselves through interacting with people, you know, because it's when you're just an internet band and you're not really, because Lee and I are not really great at social media, like neither of us are. We're kind of like post it and forget it kind of a thing, you know, just move on to your day. But we want to become more, you know, and I'm not saying we're gonna be best friends with them. We're not gonna, you know, going to all your birthday parties or something, you know, like that. But like just becoming more on a friend level with our fans, and like in putting names to usernames and face, you know, and just like, and being more, because I know that Discord, I'm late to the fucking party, but I just recently got a PC that I'm recording on and started using Discord, and it's like, man, this fucking thing, I wish I'd known about this in the pandemic. You know,
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I didn't know about it in the pandemic, and I'm sad that I missed out on all those pandemic hangs. And I think that's just what we want. We just want to be more just inclusive and allow our fans to get that more of an in-depth look at who we are as people, and not just, oh, they scream and he plays guitar, and it's like, well, now you know Tyler's this, and you know Lee is that, and you know, it's like, and it's not always going to be pretty. Lee and I are, we think we're funny, but sometimes we're not. You know, it's just you know, you're going to be like, oh, that maybe they're not funny. No, you know, or maybe they're not that talented. No, I was just kidding. But yeah, I think that we just want to be more available and accessible, not just to the people, and that's why there's so many different kinds of fandoms. You have the people that only listen to Spotify. They don't really give a shit about they're not going to find out what your name is. They're not going to, it's like they like the music and they like the band. They know the name, but they're like, I don't know who Tyler Tate is, you know? And then you got the people that are like, that Google me and they're like, Tyler Tate was born in this and Tyler Tate was this. And it's like, you have those two different sides of people. So we'll always release music on Spotify and all the other places, because we want people to be able to access us in their own ways. But then we want, for those diehard fans that want to play Fortnite with me and Lee or something, like hop into the Discord, you know, and like, we'll be playing games, or we'll be streaming games, or we'll be just talking shit and just that kind of stuff, you know. And those people, I think, will appreciate that more, because that's kind of what they're looking for.
That's really cool.
But we still satisfy the people that are like, I just want you to release music on Spotify, and I'm not gonna know who you are, but that's cool. I like your band.
No, it's cool that you said about the tabs, because I'll be definitely joining just for the tabs alone, because I want to be able to learn some Holofront stuff. But I suppose, because we've been talking nearly an hour and a half now, and I said I wouldn't keep you too long.
Yeah, I just go, man. Sometimes I don't stop talking.
No, it's fine. I was just cautious because you said you were streaming later and things, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. But I suppose one more question from me, and suppose this one comes from quite a few people in the Discord server, like one of the hardcore Holofront fans, Mr. Baggy Boy himself. Any plans ever, maybe in the distant future, or I don't know when, but UK tour?
Question. Man, yeah, would love to. Like, we've had 4 like European UK tours booked and canceled, like, just with the pandemic. Like, we would have been there, man. If it wasn't for a pandemic, we would have been there with Era, Brand of Sacrifice, and Dayseeker.
Oh, wow.
That would have been a fucking amazing tour. That would have happened in January of 2022. It got canceled because of COVID.
I had tickets to Dayseeker, and the day that they were due to play, every public transport decided to go on strike. Yeah, the UK love it. They're like, we're not paid enough, so we're just not going to drive the trains or buses today. Fuck you. And there was no way to get there.
I mean, more power to them, but that sucks.
Yeah. Oh, you're seeing you guys and Dayseeker and Arab. I mean, you've obviously got, he's on the feature anyway, so on the album.
Oh yeah, GT. Yeah. I mean, we hang out with. He's on our Discord. We hang out with him. We play games and shit. And he's a busy guy. He's not always in there, but yeah, we're cool friends with JT. He flew up from wherever he lives. He flew to Michigan and hung out with us and recorded his feature at Lee's studio. So it was very, like, it just felt right. And I've always been kind of against features because I don't like adding someone into the band that I just don't even know. But I know JT, so I was like, oh, that makes, like, I like JT. I like his vocals, and it feels genuine. It's not like just be like, oh, we have Courtney LaPlante on her song. She's never met us. She just not saying I would turn that down, because I would love to have her on a song. But it's just like, doing JT was just, it made a lot of sense. Yeah, man, I can't wait to get over there, but
well, if you ever make it over,
it's so expensive, man.
And it is.
I would say that as long as we can get back on our feet, like on the road and stuff like that, and kind of get to that where we're touring more, because more internal stuff, like we just haven't really got any offers. Like we have a tour now that we're doing in the States that we just got offered. We got a new booking agent for the States, but yeah, we just aren't getting any kind of currents or any of those bands. They're not like hitting us up like, hey, you want to, it's like and it's weird because there's like a club, and I think there's like a club in metalcore, and I'm not saying these bands think they're in the club, but there is a club, and I think that Hallowfront, with all the problems that we face, we're kind of not in the club right now. We're kind of on the outside of the club, so we're not running with the bands we were running. Like We Came as Romans, August Burns Red. We're running with more of like the bands that are kind of doing their own thing in the industry and that aren't in the big club. They're in like they're still in a club, but it's not like the Fit for a Kings or the like the big metalcore bands right now.
Oh, if I ever make it out to the States, I will 100% try and catch you guys over in the States. It's just obviously lining it up.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I don't ever expect anybody to fly over here. But yeah, I just want to make it over to the other side of the world. I've never been, so I want that experience, and I want to do it experiencing it with Hallowfront. I want that to be my first experience, like going over and playing, because I know there's a lot of European and UK fans that have been following us from the beginning that having not got to see us live because we haven't been able to go over there, and it's like, that fucking sucks. Like I want to go to the UK, I want to go to Germany, I want to go to Australia, I want to go to all those places that I'm watching all these bands go to, and I'm like, man, I want to go there. But
if you make
we'll
it
get
over
there eventually.
If you make it over, bring merch, because I will do what I did probably at the Parkway show and the Sleep Token show. Walk over to the merch desk, one of everything in a double XL.
I appreciate that very much. That's how we survive on the road. That merch helps for sure. Yeah, and I want to come over there. I want to eat some beans on some toast. And
yeah, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
I know, it's a joke. We tour with Barry tomorrow, and that was kind of like the joke. I was like, they're just eating all this American food, and I'm like, tastes better than beans on toast, doesn't it?
Oh, I love American food. Oh, wow. I had a come down when I come back from New York. There's the sugar come down.
You're like, yeah, we played in Canada, and everything's less sugary over there. And it was like I had a withdrawal. I was like, what the fuck?
It was even when you go into like some restaurants, and I mean, I was with my ex at the time, and they always say, would you like some table fries? Now, over in the UK, a bowl of table fries is like this little tiny thing it's just enough to like snack on.
Do you want a dinner platter of fries? Just like they come over, they're drop it on the thing. It's like 40 pounds of potatoes.
How I did not come back from America with diabetes, I will never have a clue, because I was drinking all of the Monsters, all of the Mountain Dews. The Starbucks were like the large ones with extra caramel and stuff. And so...
Yep. Yeah, we're land of the free, I guess. I guess what they say.
Well, I know I spent $75.
Land of the free to get diabetes.
I spent $75 in M&M World on one big
Holy
bag.
Shit.
And they were gone.
That's I'm not a big candy guy myself. I'm more of a soda guy. That's my problem stems from.
See, we can get them over here now, and a lot of the shops are starting to stock American products. But a can of like American Mountain Dew is like £4, and over in the States it's $1.
Yeah, that's expensive. And I think the pound's worth more than the dollar.
Yeah, only just now. I mean, when I went to America, it was nearly double.
Okay.
But now it's like 1.2, which is not great.
Inflation, it's a bitch.
Yeah, it's just more expensive for you guys to come here because the conversion rate's just non-existent for dollar to pound.
Yeah, that's why it's good going to Canada, because I feel rich over there. the dollar conversion, I'm like, I just spent like $10 at a McDonald's and I got like 7 things. I was like, holy shit, this is like OG dollar menu time.
I think the cheapest place I've ever been to, and even the travel person when I got the currency was like, what are you doing this weekend? I was going on, my friend was getting married, and it was only a weekend, and it was just like the stag do thing that they go on, the stag party, and I changed £500 into Bulgarian, whatever it was, their currency at the time, Lev.
Yeah.
And she was like, how many days are you going for? I was like, 2. And she went, you're going to live like a millionaire. A pint of beer is like 60p in our money. and I had
Holy shit.
3,000 of whatever this currency was. Honestly, when we got there, I bought a bottle of water, and I was like, this is like 20 pence over it, and it's compared to our money.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. But
so what you're saying is go to Bulgaria.
Yeah.
And feel rich.
Just don't ever walk anywhere.
Are they on the euro now?
No, they're still on their own. I think they've got
nice.
the
yeah,
lev.
There you go. Hell yeah.
There's just no safety at all. It was great. We went go-karting, and the go-karts did like 100 mile an hour with no seatbelts and barely a helmet. It's great.
That sounds like America in like the 70s or something. You know? It's like they can have seatbelts in the cars and they just let the kids sit in them.
Yeah, I was like, I might die doing this, but no, honestly, thank you so much for giving me your time. I know you're a busy guy. I know you've got plans later and everything.
Super busy right now. I'm just kidding. Actually, that's the only thing I have today is my stream. I'm just kind of like Sunday. It's lazy.
No, it's still like, you know, people have lives. This is the thing outside of music, and it's always an honor for you to say, yeah, I'll come on and talk and stuff. But I think a lot of people will probably enjoy watching this back. There's a lot of fans in the Discord server, like I say, but no, just
add me to or invite me to your Discord, sir. I'll come in and I'll chat with people sometimes.
Yeah, cause chaos.
I have no problem doing it. Yeah,
I will do.
Just hanging out, man. I'm just a normal dude. Everyone's like, you know, like, yeah, I'm busy, but I'm not too busy. You know, I'm always down to interact with people, and I enjoy it.
They'll love
I appreciate you bringing me on here. I can't wait to watch the rest of your reactions. So yeah, get those up pronto, because yeah, especially after you said you like Over the Cradle. That's the next one that you got to upload, and I want to.
That is the next one.
I'm definitely excited to watch that one. I appreciate you taking the time to make the videos and for following us for the last couple of years, and you know, sticking with us. You know, I feel like I've watched a couple reactors kind of fall off after Dakota left. Just kind of like, oh, I'm not really interested in that band without Dakota. You know, and I understand that, and I just appreciate you, you know, taking the chance and listening to it to see what we were gonna do.
No, I had to see what was gonna happen. And yeah, it's such a good album. I mean, even Emily, my fiance, she's a massive fan of the band too. She's obviously a massive fan of Dakota, and even she loves the new stuff. She's like, this is solid.
Tell her I said thank you.
She's hard to impress. But no, she's great. I mean, actually, I come home from work not too long ago, and it was just playing. We've got like a big smart TV in the bedroom, and she was listening to it there as well. But yeah, she has a lot of influence on some of the things I listen to. Like, she's a massive fan of Dance Gavin Dance. They're American. We've seen them. So she's into a lot of the American style bands. Idola as well. Obviously he's now part of Dance Gavin Dance, Andrew. But yeah, it's cool to share the music that we both love together. But no, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I will probably get this up. I will probably release it for patrons first so they can see it, the interview, and then I'll drop it at the end of the album reaction so people can then see we spoke about it.
Cool. Sounds good, man.
But yeah, thank you very much. I will let you get back to your evening plans and everything. But yeah, thank you for another album. Absolutely fantastic. Love it.
Thank you for listening. For anybody else out there that's listened to it, thank you. Appreciate it.
Cool. Right. Well, I will say goodbye. Thank you very much, Tyler.
Take it easy.
Bye.